Have you ever heard of a hero so strong he could shatter mountains? A hero whose story has been sung for over 1,000 years, a symbol of freedom and defiance for an entire nation? Today we're diving deep into the heart of Armenia to uncover the legend of David of Sassoun. This isn't just a bedtime story, it's an epic saga of courage, magic, and the undying spirit of a people. So grab a seat, because you're about to meet one of the most incredible heroes you've never heard of. Our story begins not with David, but with his parents. His father, Mayor the Elder, was a lion of a man, a protector of the land of Sassoun. His mother was the beautiful and powerful Lady Ismail. From this union a child was born, but his birth was tinged with sorrow as both parents passed away soon after. This orphan named David was no ordinary child. He was born with a strength that defied nature, a divine gift that marked him for greatness. Growing up, David wasn't like the other kids. While they played games, he was wrestling lions and taming wild beasts. He was raised by the community of Sassoun, but he had an independent streak a mile wide. He was defiant, strong-willed, and possessed a fierce sense of justice that would soon shake the very foundations of his world. The world David grew up in was not a peaceful one. Sassoun, a mountainous region in historic Armenia, groaned under the thumb of a ruthless tyrant. His name was Mirza Malik, the Arab-Egyptian king who had conquered their lands. Malik was a greedy and cruel ruler. He demanded crushing taxes from the people of Sassoun, so much that they were left with barely enough to survive. He didn't just want their wealth, he wanted to break their spirit, to force them to bow before his power. The elders of Sassoun tried to reason with him, to negotiate, but Malik's heart was as hard as the stones of his fortress. The people lived in constant fear, their hopes dwindling with each passing day. It was into this world of oppression that our young hero, David, was about to step. One day, Mirza Malik's tax collectors arrived in Sassoun, more arrogant and demanding than ever. They swaggered through the town, taking whatever they pleased, but they made one fatal mistake. They underestimated the fiery spirit of a young man with superhuman strength. When David saw the injustice, the fear in the eyes of his people, something inside him snapped. He confronted the tax collectors, not with pleas, but with his bare hands. In a blur of motion, he sent them flying, their demands turning into cries of pain. News of this defiance spread like wildfire, reaching the ears of Mirza Malik himself. The tyrant was furious. Who was this upstart who dared to challenge his authority? He vowed to crush David and make an example of Sassoun. The stage was set for a monumental clash. David, a young man armed with nothing but his courage and raw strength, had just declared war on the most powerful king in the region. But David wouldn't be fighting alone. As he prepared for the inevitable war, his destiny began to unfold. He discovered the heirlooms of his heroic father, the legendary lightning sword, Turgetzaki, which flashed with the power of a storm, and his magical fire-breathing horse, Kirkik Jalali. This wasn't just any horse. Kirkik Jalali was as much a hero as his rider, intelligent, loyal, and impossibly fast. With his father's sword in hand and his magical steed beneath him, David was no longer just a strong young man. He was a force of nature, a true epic hero. Guided by the divine and the wisdom of his uncle, Ohan, David began his campaign to free his people. His mission was clear: drive out the invaders and restore freedom to Sassoun. David's name soon became a legend, whispered among the oppressed, and a curse on the lips of the invaders. His heroic feats were the stuff of songs. He would ride into battle like a whirlwind, his lightning sword a blur of silver, cutting down enemy soldiers by the score. With Kirkik Jalali, he could leap across entire valleys and outrun any pursuer. He single-handedly destroyed enemy fortifications and rerouted rivers to foil their plans. In one famous tale, he confronted an entire army by himself. The soldiers, seeing this lone figure charging towards them, laughed at his foolishness. Their laughter died in their throats as David and Kirkuk Jalali crashed into their ranks like a thunderbolt, scattering them to the winds. Each victory was a blow against tyranny, a spark of hope for the people of Sassoun. David wasn't just fighting a war, he was fighting for the soul of his nation. The conflict reached its climax when Misra Malik, tired of his armies being humiliated, decided to face David himself. The two champions agreed to a duel, a single combat that would decide the fate of Sassoun forever. The entire world seemed to hold its breath. On one side stood Misra Malik, clad in impenetrable armor, a giant of a man confident in his power. On the other stood David, the shepherd boy turned hero, armed with his lightning sword and an unshakable belief in justice. The duel was epic. Swords clashed with the sound of thunder. The ground shook with the force of their blows. Malik, protected by his armor and dark magic, seemed invincible. But David had a secret weapon, his divine guidance. He was told that Malik had only one small vulnerability. In a final, desperate move, David called upon his strength and hurled his lightning sword. It flew true, striking the tyrant in his one weak spot. Misra Malik, the great oppressor, fell, and with him, the chains of tyranny that had bound Sassoun for so long. With the invaders vanquished and freedom restored, David returned to Sassoun not as a warrior, but as a leader and a symbol of peace. His heroic deeds were over, but his story was not. He soon heard tales of an unparalleled beauty, a warrior queen from a distant land named Lady Kandut. Intrigued, David sought her out. But Kandut was no damsel in distress. She was a fierce and independent ruler who tested her suitors with impossible challenges. David, of course, overcame them all, not just with his strength, but with his wit and heart. He won her respect and then her love. Their marriage was a union of equals, a celebration of strength and wisdom. Together they ruled Sassoun with justice and compassion, ushering in an age of prosperity. Their love bore fruit, and a son was born to them, Mer the younger. This child inherited the incredible strength of his lineage, a strength so immense that even the earth could barely support him. But that is a story for another time, the fourth and final cycle of this incredible epic. David's legacy was secure. He had freed his people, found love, and fathered the next generation of heroes. His story, passed down orally from generation to generation for more than 1,000 years, became the national epic of Armenia, known as the Daredevils of Sassoun. It's a timeless tale that reminds us that even in the darkest of times, one person's courage can ignite a fire of hope that can never be extinguished. David of Sassoun is more than a hero. He is the enduring spirit of a nation, a testament to the power of fighting for what is right. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey into Armenian mythology. If you enjoyed learning about the mighty David of Sassoun, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more dives into the world's greatest legends. Let me know in the comments which hero you'd like to see me cover next. Until then, stay curious.